Welcome back, everybody. Guys, we are our new home, Big Moto Tabletop Gaming, and this is episode 7 of the podcast. Joining me for the podcast is Lost. Lost, how are you doing?
Not too bad.
Not too bad.
Not too bad at all.
Episode 7, man. We're on a roll. We're on a roll. How is your RPGs going?
Well, they're going. So my still in the two games. So we'll talk about the game that you're not in first.
Yep.
So they have I think last time we talked about they had made it out of Blue Alley. They were looking for or they got what's the word I'm looking for? Picked up a job from Volo. So they successfully found Floon, his friend. Again, real quick, spoiler alerts for anybody who is playing in Waterdeep Dragon Heist. So don't listen to this next part if you don't want a spoiler from it.
That's for a few
But they had, yep. So they saved Floon. And they actually got kind of lucky. They defeated the inn bosses fairly quickly, which was interesting. I didn't think it was going to go as well as they did because the druid had wild shaped into a giant spider before they had gone to the final boss, and pretty much immediately got charmed by the mind flayer that was there and was trying to attack his friends. While the mind flayer basically escaped, and my son and the group defeated the intellect devourer, and my son had multiple saves somehow really well against it, so he didn't get his brain eaten, which I want to say is the first time I've run this one. I think 3 times, and both other times somebody had died to the intellect devourer and basically became a spy to the group.
So, interesting. Like, I have not seen Intellect Devour in maybe 15 years. Like, actually in a game, and I've not seen it in 5th edition yet. So, and creepy, still creepy.
I'll have to add that to
no.
Yours there.
No.
Making a note right now.
Dang it. Why?
But as for the other game for you guys,
oh my goodness.
Yeah, you made it to the lands of Barovia. You met Strahd for a quick second for him to do a nice little intro and welcome you. And then you made it to the city of Barovia, or the village of Barovia, and immediately went straight to Death House.
Death House, yes.
I had not planned. I didn't necessarily want you guys to do Death House, which is why I gave you those hints of beware of Rose with some garbled stuff, and then Thorn, and they introduced themselves. I thought you guys were going to do it, but then one of the party members was like, nope, got to help the kids. Yep. Let's go. And straight into Death House. So you guys haven't done too bad. You guys went through all the rooms. You ended up finding the secret stairs on the 3rd floor, and are now in the crypt, which will be interesting. That's where we left off. But I know you have a few things you want to say about that, so I'll turn it over to you.
Real quick. Just that whole secret room, is that the way you were supposed to find it? Is the way that I found it through that other room? I don't want to give spoilers out, but is that the way you're supposed to find it?
That is one way to do it.
Okay. All right. I didn't know if you made that for us, or if the game already had pre-made there or anything. I was like, oh, this makes sense now.
Yep. Nope. That it worked out well, and yeah, that's one of the official ways to find it.
Okay. All right. So, yep, like Lost was saying, we're in Curse of Strahd. This is going to be my first time ever. I've heard countless stories. It is one of Dungeons & Dragons' most famous, or modern most famous, what do you call it, adventure path, or I forget what does D&D call those? What are they called? Modules? Is that what D&D calls them?
Modules.
Yeah. And so So I hear all the different things, all the talk, and so I'm like a little nervous, a little paranoid for going into the Curse of Strahd. But at the same time, we're gonna punch forward, and not gonna lie, walking into the Death House there, I was like, oh, this is good. Like I'm automatically the hair's risen. I'm like I gotta watch everything, and at the same time, nothing happening, and and the paranoia that I have been feeling from walking. As soon as you said it was called the Death House, I was like, I've heard this term before. And I don't know why, because I have not spoiled it for myself. I don't know why, and I'm just like freaking out about every little thing, except the one time I don't freak out about anything, and I get natural 20'd
Yeah,
in the
you did.
face. Oh my goodness! I swear to goodness gracious, viewers at home, I'm this close to being done with making an AC tank because ACs don't matter.
Hmm.
Might as well just be a barbarian that with the damage reduction because AC does not matter.
Yep. And I'm doing open rolling on Fantasy Grounds, so all rolls are seen. So you
Yeah.
can't even blame me for cheating.
Right. Oh my goodness gracious.
It's like the tank with the highest AC constantly getting hit. The rest of the party with significantly lower ACs. Oh, missed you on that one.
Yep. I little like if it wasn't open rolls, I would feel almost targeted. But at this point, I'm just yelling at the dice, the dice gods. Why? And let's see.
You have any?
Well,
I was gonna say, do you have any thoughts on your smite that didn't go off?
oh no, I did not think about what I just figured. That was something in game why we couldn't. Divine magic doesn't work very well in Curse of Strahd. Is it Ravenloft?
Yeah.
So
Yeah, I mean,
I just
you're on the
assuming
right.
that,
You're on
but
the right path.
I didn't. I legit I didn't put anything extra into it other than it didn't work.
Gotcha.
I just figured I'm like I know a little bit about Ravenloft and how anti life giving it is. And I know the rest of the group does not know anything probably about Ravenloft. So
Yeah.
okay. So yeah, we do that Thursday night things, and then on Sundays I have my D&D game, but this last time one of our normal people who's always there, he couldn't make it. So Butters was running a Vampire the Masquerade game that they made for when I'm not around. And but this time I was around and the other guys weren't going to be there, so we got to play that. And that game was kooky. We're gonna go with kooky. We're all playing ourselves that get turned into vampires. That's what we're role playing as. And oh my goodness gracious, I literally took me as a personality and I dialed up to 11, and people were like, "Wow." I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a bit much. And but that whole vampire stuff is just arrow. Different. I had a lot of fun. Like I made myself a little bit more zany, kooky, but I'm trying to think of a word. Oh, but yeah. So we have this one player that we're currently working with. He tells Butters, because they get to work together, that he wait, I'm trying to say Butters says like little snippets about the game that's coming up, and it gives the guy total paranoia to the point that he's scared to roll any dice whatsoever. And I feel like that's what Curse of Strahd has been doing to me. I have so much paranoia as soon as we said Curse of Strahd, and I've heard nothing but like weird things. Like as soon as you said it was Death House, I walked in and I'm like, everything's gonna out to kill me. Like that wallpaper is not real wallpaper. Attack the wallpaper. Like that's how my brain like the player behind the character, the player is so paranoid, but I'm like, I get keep it the character, keep it the character, and I don't know. Lost, what do you think? What are some things that you like to do to keep a player's paranoia it like going? Because there is something really nice, like as a storyteller, as a DM GM, keeping a player's paranoia so they're invested in the game. I think there's something actually really nice with it. What do you think? What are some things that you like to do that feeds that paranoia?
A couple of things actually. Uh, all right, yeah, I'll say it. I'll make players make perception checks or notice checks for no reason at all.
Yep, I I know that one.
Yep. So go make a perception check. Oh, all of us? Oh yeah, sure. Okay, yeah. No, you guys don't notice anything. Continue on. I was like, well, what did we miss? Oh, don't worry about it. Like, you know.
I can think of a couple
That
times now that you said that.
yep. Sometimes I'll do that. Just it's to keep that, or I'll just roll a couple of dice. Like it's like, oh, let me just roll a couple times, and people are like, why are you rolling? What is going on? Something's happening. Why aren't you
Okay,
saying anything?
that's something. From my point of view, I don't hearing a DM roll dice doesn't bother me, but in my Sunday game, the vampire game, holy cow, the entire table got mad when Butters was rolling dice behind his, well, he uses his hands, he doesn't have a DM screen. He uses his hand, and the entire table's like, why are you rolling? What are you doing? This is life and death.
Yep. The
And
paranoia sets in.
yeah, and then like someone will be doing something, and then he'll roll again. And it's like, what happened this time? And I just thought to myself, I'm like, Butters, you master of manipulation here. This is great. I love it. Any other
Oh, yeah.
extra things you like to do?
No, that's it. Other than maybe trying to like snip in like, different words that make things eerie or make it like why did you say it that way? Like what do you mean? Like I mean it's different
Yep.
different ways of saying, oh, you don't, oh yeah, yeah, you don't see anything. It's like, what do you mean I don't see anything? Like is there anything there?
Uh huh. Uh
Or am I just not seeing it? Because you could say, "Oh yeah, nothing's there," or "Oh yeah, you don't find anything."
huh.
Well,
That
they're
makes me feel
different.
like I missed
Which
something. Dang it.
exactly.
One of my favorite things to do is actually like kind of like you were saying. I like to bring up the like the creepiness factor. One of my favorite things is just like something extra creepy. It really brings up people's paranoia. More like for all of a sudden, out of your eye, that painting turn uh like you swore that painting was looking at you, and it's just cosmetic. But I like bringing up
Yep.
that creep factor. I a lot of times in my games, I really enjoy doing that myself. I'm trying to think. Is there any other extra things I try to do to increase the paranoia? I think
Uh-huh.
just rolling dice. It really helps. Like it really screws with people. Just random
So
dice.
one thing I may start doing in fantasy rounds with your guys' group too is using the dice tower for perception checks.
Dice tower. Okay. What's
So it's on the bottom, right? Basically, you drop it onto the dice tower, and it rolls. You roll your dice, but it blanks out, so you don't see your actual roll. Only I get to
oh
see it. So,
that would be
like,
rather interesting.
yep, I do that sometimes, and players get real like because the reason I like doing that sometimes, it's not to fudge the dice, but if you roll really low, you might think you hear something that's completely irrelevant and go down that path because then you're like,
Correct.
oh, oh yeah, you think that there's you think there's a trap ahead, blah blah blah. It's like, oh, I'm gonna spend time, trying to disarm it. And it's like, oh yeah, you spend the next 20 minutes trying to disarm this thing and nothing, and then you're like, oh, it's not trapped. Crap. Well, Hey guys, I got it. We can go now.
I'm like, has this happened?
Oh yeah.
That's pretty good. All right, let's see. Lost. What are some I guess motivations that keep you in the driver's seat, that keeps you going as a DM? What motivates you like the most? What are you thinking here?
Honestly, it's the players, right? So if the
Hundred
players are
percent.
very just like robotic, not robotic, that's not the right word, but like if they're not animated or like if they're not invested into the game, then it's hard for me to invest into the game. But if characters are very invested and they're like into it and they're coming up with ideas and stuff like that, like I need um I'm like an AI. That's the best way I can describe it, right? I
Okay.
struggle to come up with my own ideas, but if you give me a spark of an idea, I can make a bonfire.
I
You know what
I
I mean?
am very similar on that. As the way you just said that, I am very similar. I'm like, I've always said that I am better if I have someone gave me a foundation, I can build
Yep.
something off the foundation
Yep.
way better
I'm
than yeah. I'm very similar in that aspect. This is okay. This is one thing I'm um is not very or from me point of view and not very fun about your game is I can't see everybody else's faces and see the reaction that things should be getting. And like Chad, we're just playing off Fantasy Grounds is just a thing, and then our other couple players, they might not have webcams or anything like that, so we just been going off voice and then moving our characters. But there's a lot of times I want like that was something cool, and I look up and I want to see someone's face, and I don't see someone's face. My heart. And I think yeah, seeing players, especially invested players. Oh my goodness gracious, you think if you have an invested player, you can think about that invested player all day. I swear to goodness gracious, like I'm gonna keep this going because they were that excited for this, and then if you got the
yep.
whole group that excited, oh, that's a high that no one can beat. Like
Mm-hmm.
that will
Mm-hmm.
let you run off for 10 games. Just remember that one high.
Oh yeah.
I'm like, yeah, with you on that one. That is definitely the other some other motivations that get me is um uh or okay, we might have touched base on this when we were talking about starting a game, but another motivation is I like to bring in new creatures I've never used before, or are people have not seen, or in a weird twist or mutation or whatnot like that. Like that gets me motivated. I don't want to say surprise because surprise sounds weird, but like I don't know the story that you have to tell of the why is this creature here kind of thing. I always like that.
Yeah. Yep. I always like adding in those little like differences, which is why like one of the reasons that I really enjoy Fantasy Grounds too is because every NPC has their own hit points. So when you go up against a group of goblins or skeletons or whatever, and it's like, oh, the average is like
Stupid skeletons.
12. You know what I mean? It's like, oh yeah, average might be 12, but this one had 7, that one has 18, this one has 15. So you kill that first one, you're like, oh, you kill the one that had 5 hit points, and you're like, oh, these are gonna be easy. Lo and behold, that one is the only one with 5, everything else is 15 or above, and you're like, what is going on?
That one
This
was
is
a
not working out.
that one was Irakoa bones instead
Right,
of
exactly. So it adds that different level of detail to where it's like, oh, same thing for like dynamic initiative, because it adds a whole different layer of like decision making and stuff like that, where it's like, oh well, if we don't get him this time and he goes first next time, like that could be it. You really only have like one round to play around with.
Yeah, I wonder if the dynamic things with our one group, if that's a good thing or bad thing, because one of our players is brand new and the other one hasn't gamed in a while. I don't know. Like, do you think dynamic thing is good for newbies, or it doesn't
I
matter?
I don't think it matters. I really don't think it
Don't think it
matters.
matters. Okay.
I think it might matter. No, I don't think it matters. I'm just gonna go with
Nope.
that. I don't think it matters.
All right. You hear it here first. Chat.
Yep.
Blah, blah, blah.
Hashtag doesn't matter.
Doesn't matter. Your initiative doesn't matter. Just go. Yeah. Let's see. Any other motivations we like to do? No. I think that's pretty simple. It's the story that you want to tell, and then seeing your players' reactions. Yeah. One of the most disheartening things is when you're trying to reveal something really cool and there's crickets. That one when you miss the mark or
Yep.
that's rough. It's like ta-da.
Yep.
Son of a gun. All right.
Yep.
Oh, pardon me. 1 second. Pardon me. Okay, so Lost. We were talking about that every once in a while players will be bringing it's almost a player's responsibility to bring some snacks to the table. And then you came up with the idea of should the GM, with all their hard work, should they also bring food to the table? And what's your opinion on that? Because this is very interesting, I think.
So I'm a little conflicted, right? So I was thinking about it when we were talking about it earlier, and I want to say that I don't think the game master should be expected to pitch in on food or drink, but at the same time, I think they should bring something to contribute as well, right? Because we were kind of talking about it where basically the game master is the only one that is doing sometimes hours of work between sessions.
Correct.
Right? So I think that should more than compensate the food or snacks that that everybody else is generally bringing, right? So I know for most of every game that I'm at, whether it's at a, well, depending on the game store, some game stores don't allow outside food or drink, and then it's just kind of like everybody just kind of buys their own.
Yep.
Which is fine too. But like if it does, or like you're gaming at somebody's house, you bring food or snack. Now, I also think that depending on how people were raised, right? So like we had one when we started playing at this one guy's house, he would legit grill out and do stuff like that. Now he was starting up kind of like a catering business, like a side gig. So he wanted to use some recipes.
Fancy.
He basically wanted to use us as guinea pigs.
Yep.
So the food was great. But at the same time, it's like, all right, like we all, everybody brought snacks and stuff like that as well. And there's a couple of times where it's like, hey, like I feel like it's a bit much. So it's like I want to like pitch in, like, hey, let me pitch in either money or let me buy, we're gonna do this, type of thing. So I don't think it should be expected, but I still think as a DM, maybe not every time, but every once in a while, you should bring something fun for the players. So they had played Curse of Strahd, and at one point I baked a cherry pie, and on the top layer I cut out circles and I made a nose and I put in almonds for the teeth, so it looked like a face.
Nice, I like
on
it.
The pie. So I brought that for the group. So fun things like that can enhance the story. All for it, bring it.
I like it.
What about you?
My personal opinion, I don't normally ever think of the DM or players bringing things. What I normally think is a lot of the time for the groups I've been in, even especially in my recent groups, is the host seems to always, like, whoever's hosting the game seems to be bringing the things, and then the players and the DM might try to bring snacks to that. But I feel like even back when we were in high school, like when I hosted, I had a pizza party every time, and when you hosted, you had like pizza also, but you also worked for pizza, so we had pizza a lot back in high school.
I still have pizza a lot.
Yeah, I'm like I haven't had pizza in 3 weeks now. I'm starving, man. I'm starving.
I literally had a 10-inch pizza for lunch, And then I had a couple of slices of some barbecue chicken pizza
Oh, that's good. That's really good
as
there.
well. So yeah, that was lunch.
All right, random tangent right now, or not tangent, just random thing. For my birthday, I was able to go to a special pizzeria, and I ordered there a chicken cordon bleu, and instead of pizza sauce, it was honey Dijon mustard, and with the chicken and the ham and everything else. Oh my god, in love with that pizza. That's the second time I've been to this pizzeria. That's the second time I ordered that same pizza. That's the pizza I
Nice.
want in my life.
Nice.
Where was I going? Oh yeah. So at my current gaming group, they the host of the thing has been cooking or providing snacks to the point where like if we wanted to bring things, I think my current group, my host would actually feel offended if we brought something that he did not prepare. It's like so he's very gracious, and I hope he understands that we don't take that for granted. He is a listener to this podcast, so we definitely don't take you for granted. We thank you every single time. But every once in a while, we would like to help pay for some of that stuff. Like it.
That's what I was just gonna say. Like, I don't think it's a big deal at all for like, hey, like, because it's the whole host thing, right? Like, if
Yeah.
you're gonna host people, right, you should provide drinks, snacks, meal, if it depending on how long it's gonna be and stuff like that, right? And I feel that same way, which is why it's like, it's hard though because if you're hosting people on a weekly, bi-weekly basis,
Then it gets
that can
expensive.
become expensive, right?
Yep.
So,
yeah, I'm always worried about that. Legit, like that is a thought in my head often because our current gaming group is basically a permanent position, and he has literally been feeding us once a week for almost 2 years now, and I feel I feel really bad, but he doesn't want to take nothing. He wants to be a gracious host, which it's awesome, but at the same time, please understand. Yeah, I want to contribute. If that makes sense, I don't know what the best way to say.
yeah,
that.
you want to contribute without offending the host.
Yeah. I don't want to offend anybody. That would be even worse. Then
But even if it was just like, hey, everybody bring like whatever kind of drinks you want, or like bring some chips, or like
Yep.
you guys bring the snacks and drinks, I will make the meal. You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
that should be a good trade-off.
Yep. And then I've been in other things because I have not gamed at an actual game store in 20 years.
Yeah.
So every single time I've gamed has been at another person's house, and it always seems to be the host provides the meal. You try to bring a snack. It's not normally up to DM or anything like that. But like for example, when I'm DMing, Kenosha, she takes care of all the snacks and whatnot, so I don't even have to think about anything. So I'm lucky that way. So yeah, I don't know. I don't know.
I would say, but that's kind of, I don't want to say it's a unique situation, right? But like, it's still, yes, she's a player, but it's still under the same household,
Yep,
right?
yep.
So it would still be the DM providing, right? Because it's all the same funds, basically. So it's
Yep.
like, but then it's two people, right? So it's a little bit different.
Yep. Yeah, I don't. Is there? I don't know. Like, what's the worst? Like, I'm thinking of a wrong way to do this. The worst way of this would be that someone showing up, never bringing a snack, never saying thank you, never having good etiquette about that. I guess. Yeah, that would be the worst player or whatever. It could be the DMs. I've had some selfish DMs in the past too. They only think of one thing. But
Total party death.
total
TPK,
annihilation.
total party kills. Yeah.
Let's see. Hold on one second here. Okay. Loss. I know. There's ways of the on fantasy grounds to eliminate dice that you feel that have gotten cursed. And I personally, okay, wait, I gotta take this back. We have a buddy Butters who has the worst rolling luck I've ever seen of anyone, unless he's attacking a fellow player. Then he'll roll a natural 20 no matter what. But if he's a player, or even a lot of times as a anytime he rolls a d20, that is coming up as a 5 or a 7. Like he's consistent about that. To the point that other players are scared when he touches their dice. Like, it rolled on the floor, it came over to him. Don't touch that dice. I need to have that. Lost. What are some ways to uncurse some dice, in your opinion? Because I feel like I have a lot of cursed dice.
So I've seen a couple of things that people have done. Some people will literally put them in the freezer for hours to days, to freeze them out.
Huh.
Yep, and then they'll take them out or whatever. Other players will put them aside and not use them. And I have seen one player threaten his dice to the point of taking out a hammer and shattering one of them to get the rest in line. So
I've never seen it that extreme. I yell at my dice. I actually yell at my dice quite a bit. I've never seen that ever happen.
Yep. So, I don't want to say I'm very paranoid about people touching my dice. I'm significantly less paranoid about it now in my life than I was, even 5-10 years ago. But like, when I'm looking at all of my dice, I basically, I don't want to say listen to them, but I'll like feel it out until I'm like, oh, which ones are calling to me? It's like, all right, these ones are calling to me. This is what I'm going to use, And I'll generally have like 3 or 4 full sets of dice that I'm just kind of, each game session is like I open it up, I'm like, these ones are calling to me today, and then if they roll bad consistently, it's like, well, you're going away for the rest of the game.
My my cousin, he had this one D20, and he put it in his own individual wait, what's that word? We get collection of dice. He put it in his own individual one, and this thing was so damaged goods. He would shake it inside the dice jail. Shake it, it'd be like natural 20, 19, 17, natural 20. Always rolling high. He pulls it out, rolls it, 1, 1, 1. He's like, you're going back in the jail. And he goes, that was the worst cursed dice I've ever seen. Like, to this day, I maybe he probably doesn't have it anymore, but he still he had that thing in a dice jail, and it was angry. It's like, let me out, let me out. Ah!
Payback for leaving me in so long.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, dice have feelings too, y'all. Just remember that.
They're not just plastic. They can hear us, or
Don't
metal.
tick them off. Yep.
Oh, yeah. This is one of the worst things, is ticking off dice. I don't know what Butters has done to his dice.
Sounds like Butters needs to get another set of dice to make them jealous.
I think to the point he actually has a little bit of a collection. Not a big collection, but he has a little bit of a collection. The funny thing, I have a guy who sits next to me in my current session. We seem to always sit in the exact same chairs, and so he's always to my left. And he has this cool looking dice tray, and inside the dice tray is a holding cell for all his dice. And at one point, something fell out or something like that, and I grabbed it and I put it in there. And he was like, "You're not like Butters luck, right? Because you just contaminated all my dice."
Oh, which, yeah, you did.
I'm like,
you sure did.
I'm like, I don't normally have Butters luck, but I feel like I'm pretty good, and he hasn't had much bad luck there. All right, boss. Let's see. We were talking about some other things. Player etiquette at the table, or not even player etiquette. I feel like there's DM etiquette too. But what are some etiquette things that we should really strike on here? Like, trying to think of a term here. Like, obviously, cell phones at the table, playing music over the DM. Like, you're trying, like.
Oh yeah, like playing music type thing definitely is like a no, I would say. Cell phone use, I would say, I don't personally like it at all. I feel like it's a detractor. I know a lot of people have gone to like their character sheets being on the cell phones and stuff like that,
Yep.
so they can look stuff up.
Yep. My current
But I think
Vampire the Masquerade and my Pathfinder Second Edition are both on my phone to the point I can't play without them.
right. But I feel like we've gotten away from like I don't want to say memorizing the rules or memorizing like the stuff to the point that it's like, at one point I legit did not need my character sheet. Probably 15 years ago, I would make
Uh-huh.
my character and I would know it. And I could roll and I knew my bonuses, I knew everything. And now, like, it's like, oh, what did it have for this? What did it have for that? What did it have for this? And it's like, man, I need all these references now. And it's like,
Wow, and they made everything a lot simpler nowadays than when we started. So, yeah, you have a good point.
yep,
Huh?
yep.
Yeah.
But yeah, so I get it. I would just say make sure you're mindful and not get sucked into like, oh, I'm gonna check my character sheet. Oh, look, Facebook. Click. Oh, my bad. What are we doing?
Yeah.
Yeah, as long as it's not detracting, I don't think it's that big of an issue, but it's an easy detraction from the game. Yeah, anything that's making noise or detracting from others, that's definitely a no-no.
Yep.
Um, to include like side conversations and stuff like that.
Oh,
Not
I,
just electronics.
like I have a point on that one of my current game. A lot of times, it happens actually more with the Vampire the Masquerade one because that's more big story arcing and where you can separate from the party more. And so the I think the GM of Vampire just call a storyteller. They have an individual conversation or like a couple, and then the other side people have nothing to do, so people are on their phones and whatnot. And um, some players have had other like role play sessions with me, like we're both off scene, if you would, but they're having a role play thing without the DM around, and I feel uncomfortable about that to the point I'm like I don't want to have a role play if the DM isn't watching to see what this story is going on. Like that is something that legit bugs me to the point if I'm not in the scene, I almost always bring up my phone so I don't have to have a role play session that is not in view of the DM, and I don't know what that is. I don't know if that's a form of paranoia or what
I think
there.
like I have mixed feelings. I think if it's just RP for fleshing out things that don't really affect the story,
Correct, and most of the
like
time it's that.
right. So I don't really see an issue with it. I think it's a way to stay engaged in character and stuff like that people use. But like now, if I was the storyteller or if I'm the game master and it's like, oh, hey, in between sessions or like, oh, hey, we just RP'd this, we just found all this stuff, I'd be like, I would literally probably laugh out loud and say, you sure didn't. You know what I mean?
Right.
Like,
Yeah, it's not like that. Let's take our normal boys' night thing. Say you and D are having a conversation about a individual thing, and then Ace hits me up with a role play thing on like what to do next and whatnot. But we're having different conversations across the table, and now we're kind of distracting each other. That's what I feel like. Like
right.
it's a distraction, and I feel
Yep.
like the time to shine is the storyteller and the other player, and I'm invested in watching that unfold more than having an RP moment. I think that's what's actually bothering me, is I want to be invested
Yeah.
in that, and somebody else is trying to get my attention, and my ADD is like, no, I'm focused on this. Stop peeling me away. I don't know. It's just a
Yeah.
weird thing like
Yeah.
that because there's no harm in it. There's nothing wrong with it. And it's good role play, but me particularly over I think everyone else at my game, I have a problem with it because I feel I want to focus on the storyteller, and I don't want to take away from anyone else because I'm known to be a little bit louder, a little
Right.
energetic sometimes, and I don't want. I don't know. I feel like stepping on people's toes,
Right. Yeah, I can
and
see that.
I feel highly uncomfortable having a side RP. How many do you get that? Is that something that ever happens with in your games? And
No.
I noticed in like if Pathfinder or D&D, because the party rarely separates there, you hardly ever
Yeah.
see that. But with
Right.
Vampire the Masquerade, since that happens a lot in my opinion, or not a lot, but um you can be a solo and it's fine, you know.
Yeah, I mean,
The
I've done
paranoia is
some
not there.
solo adventure stuff in 5e. Um, where it's like downtime and I might do some RP if like somebody wants to do some stuff, but like the rest of the players aren't like RPing on the side.
Okay.
I've never had that. You know what I mean? So
Yeah, like in the same exact session where we're all sitting around the table. Um, let's see. Any other things you want to bring up, Lost?
I feel like we kind of brought up most of the stuff that we'd kind of talked about
I have
before.
two things I find it rather interesting. So coming out real soon is Dungeons and Dragons new module, the what, Eye of Vecna or something like that, something Curse of Vecna. I forget what that
Yeah.
one's called. So
Something
and
like
there, Chad, if you don't know who Vecna is, I don't know what rock you're living under, but that's interesting. He's a big bad god. Is he god of Ravenloft or just the Greyhawk?
Forgotten Realms, I think.
No, he's not Forgotten Realms.
Sure.
Yep, he's older than Forgotten Realms. Yeah, he should be a Greyhawk god. I do believe.
Eve of Ruin, I think.
Eve of Ruin?
Eve of Ruin.
Because I'm pretty sure he's in Ravenloft, which is the same where Curse Strahd is. But okay, so we have the Eve of Ruin where we're gonna take on Vecna or see Vecna or whatnot.
Oh, he is.
And then Pathfinder is also releasing a brand new adventure path called Curtain Call, is where they're going to be killing off 5 of their known gods inside this one. Where at the end of the adventure, we are actually taking on gods. Like, we're going to be fighting gods and maybe even becoming gods ourselves. We don't know this one, but the whole adventure path is slaying of gods. And I just feel like that's going to be... it's like the 2024 thing is all these new... or the Pantheons are going to get rearranged. What do you think of that?
I like it. I think that would be a fun campaign. I've done similar campaigns in Palladium. So I think taking on the gods. The thing I like about the Palladium is it actually uses the actual like Earth pantheons. So like the different gods that are on the Earth, right? Aztec gods, Greek, Roman.
I think Conan does the same system. And
yeah, so taking on those, it's definitely interesting, and then to see like, oh, how does it affect? Like, I'm curious to see. I think that campaign, if they do it right, which generally Paizo does a good job on their campaigns, it should be a good campaign.
Many campaigns.
How many books do you think it's going to be?
It's a 3-parter. Only 3.
Okay, so they've already put that. That's it? Yep, I'm surprised.
Very cool. Yeah, I thought it was going to be a 6-parter because normally the 6-parter is 1 through 20. So I'm assuming it might be starting off at a higher level. Because normally when they release a 3-parter, it starts at a random level, like you're supposed to feed it in, but it's called Curtain Call, and we're actually gonna see some of their Pantheons die or get replaced or something like that.
I'm curious what's gonna happen after.
Yeah.
Yeah.
What's 2025's adventure path going to be? Because it's going to be like after the fall of gods. That'd be really interesting. Right. I do remember. Yeah. I don't know if you ever got to play it. There's a Pathfinder adventure path out there that it is literally 1 through 6 or parts 1 through 6, and then another part 1 through 6 is you actually play as the bad guys through level 1 through 20, and then the next adventure path is you're playing as the good guys trying to undo what your evil guys were doing.
That's fun.
They actually have an actual adventure path where you got to see what the other, like, all that stuff is supposed to, like, you're supposed to do it in like a 6 or 12 part thing, and so if you're too dickish in the one, you might OP and TPK your other party.
Right? I did that. I did something similar one time. I had the players were all playing demigods in Palladium, and they had gone through and did some stuff. Like, we were playing for months, and I'd kept track of the different roles and stuff like that. And then later on, I can't remember if it was. I wonder if it was the same campaign or it might have been like same area, different group. And I had their players, they were time traveling, and it was the same campaign, and they came across their themselves, but they couldn't see each other, but they were slinging like all kinds of crap at each other, and then so
Interesting.
it worked out. Yeah, it can go one or two ways. You have to I don't say you have to fudge the dice, but you kind of got to like be careful on what you're gonna roll for, because it's more of a story arc, like a story like combat, not an actual like you don't want to mess up your own timeline that you're already messing up on purpose.
Oh, that sounds like an interesting thing. Huh.
Yeah, they figured it out. I want to say it was like 2 sessions later, one of the players was just stopped. He's like, "Wait a second. Did we fight ourselves like 2 sessions ago?" And I was like, "Oh, you sure did." He was like,
"You sure did."
"I thought so. Like, I thought so during it." Like, I was like, "This is really familiar." He's like, "That was when we went there, and like we fought those other people." I was like, "Yeah, but you never saw who those were either." He's like, "What the crap is this?"
I'm gonna have to use this now as a thing. My next adventure path. All right. Last, I just saw you cut out quite a bit at the last little bit, so I feel like my weather is getting worse here. So I think we're gonna have to call the podcast a little earlier. So unless you have something else you want to bring up in the next little bit here. Sure don't. All right, everybody. This is the point where we gonna need you guys to subscribe to the new YouTube channel and podcast. And also make sure you hit that like button. Guys, this has been Big Moto Tabletop Art of Gaming. I want to say RPG. Why do Big Moto Tabletop Gaming. So it sounds like my normal video game channel, but this is going to be the D&D channel, if you would. All right. Lost, thank you for being here. We're going to be signing off.
Yeah.
All right. Everybody else, have yourselves a wonderful day. See you later.